Hi everyone, I'm Hales and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you the dress that I've just finished and the alterations that I made, and by doing so it made this dress a lot easier and quicker to sew, so I thought that I would share those with you today. Now this was a Vogue pattern, which is Vogue 1595 by Badgley Mishka, I think that's how you say it, and it's for moderate stretch knits. I will show you the line drawing on the back for how they say it should be. I say they show because I'll explain in a minute what I did. So this one here has a kick pleat at the back, it has back darts, and at the front it has pleats and it has horizontal waist darts. So I will show you what I did. Now with the big four patterns where they have the tissue paper, I have started to do the Palmer Pletch method of tissue fitting, and it saves me making a toile or a muslin. If I was to make something like a coat or something with an expensive fabric, then I would probably tissue fit and then make a muslin. But this fabric that I used was from my stash. I bought it in an online auction last year and it worked out, I think it was like £1 a metre. I bought a length of it. I have used it for a wrap dress that I made last year actually, which the neckline stretched out of, but there's a video on that, I'll put that in the description box below. But I had this left over, so I thought that I would use it just to try it out for the size. Now with the sleeve, this is the grown-on kimono sleeve, I found that it was too long because the pattern envelope shows it finishes at your elbow, but this has a cuff that you attach. So I found it was too long on me, so I held it up against myself, and then I figured out, if I show you, so this is where the fabric ends and then it has the cuff on it. So originally it would have finished probably where the dress is now, then the cuff would fall down, so it would actually be too long. So I've taken out a good 2 inches, but I haven't taken it out of the edge of the sleeve because I'm sewing a cuff on. It has this curved edge and I wanted to keep that so I didn't have any problems when I attached the cuff. So I've then just gone in on a straight section and taken the length out of there. So that's just a tip if you need to do the same kind of thing. Sometimes you will affect hemlines if you take out the bottom. That's why generally patterns have a shorter and lengthen line on them, which isn't at the very bottom. But this doesn't usually have it on sleeves, but that's what I did. The other thing you'll see where the paper is darker here is that I have folded it over and I have shortened the bodice by 1 inch, and that's what I normally do on the big four patterns. I find that I am shortening the bodice, and so just get them to sit right at my natural waist, I do shorten them by 1 inch. So I fold up, sellotape down, and that's that. So this looks like I've torn it, but I haven't. This is cut out like this because it has a horizontal waist dart. So that is the front piece. As I took the length out of the front, I had to make sure that I took the length out of the sleeve for the back, and again take that inch out of the waistline at the back so it matched up. This is supposed to have a centre back zipper, but I didn't want to do that because I thought, well, it's a stretchy fabric, I should be okay with it. So although I didn't cut this on the fold, I didn't put the zip in. So I do have a seam all the way down the back. Probably could have cut this bodice on the fold if I'd just pinched out from here and taken off the seam allowance, then I probably could have done that. So that is another thing that you could do if you want to make that a bit quicker for yourself. Didn't make any alterations to the cuff. I did think they were a bit too deep, but actually it's the style of dress and I thought I'd just go with it. And then this here is the back piece. Now this has the dart. I did find after sewing it that the dress was hanging straight down and kind of not giving me any shape, because I have a sway back so it goes in. I wanted to give that sort of curvature to my back to give shape at the back of the dress. I'd already sewn the darts and I had then overlocked the skirt part to the top. So it kind of caused problems because I didn't want to unpick all of the overlocking to then open out the dart and re-sew it. So I literally sewed a diamond, oh sorry, I just kicked the tripod. I did sew a diamond around where the dart was so I could just take out a bit of extra fabric. So if you were to look very closely, It doesn't sit completely flat at those points of the dart where they sit on the waistband, but it's not really that noticeable. Next time I was doing it, I would then make the dart bigger before I sew it on, but this is something I'd already done. So I found it easier, rather than unpick everything, just take a bit extra out of that dart, and it sat nicely and it was fine. At the bottom of the skirt part, this is the kick pleat. I didn't have, my fabric wasn't wide enough because it was basically like an offcut. It wasn't wide enough for this kick pleat, so I thought I could get away with it. So I just cut that straight down, and it just meant I didn't have to do the extra stitching, faffing around with the kick pleat. I just could sew a straight centre back seam. So that is the main alteration. The other thing I did, because the dress and the pattern says to fully line the dress, and because this is polyester, it's quite thick, it's opaque, so I don't need to worry about that. I thought I won't bother lining it, but I then wasn't sure what to do with the neck, because then obviously the neck is left raw, and I thought you could create a facing. I'm not keen on facings, especially when it comes to jersey, so I have literally folded, I'll try and get the light, it's funny to film black in this light, but I have literally folded under and then top stitched round, and it sat really flat, and I changed my stitch length slightly, I think, but generally I will then sew with a straight stitch and not a zigzag, because I'm not a big fan of the zigzag on knits when it comes to like neckbands and things. But overall, this dress, by then cutting out certain steps, like stages like zips and lining and the kick pleat, I was then able to sew this. I cut it out one evening, and then I was able to sew this in less than half a day. And I did sew most of it on my overlocker for the first time, so I usually use that for seams. I did find it was a little bit big on the hips, so just sort of straightened off and just ran that through the overlocker again, just to smooth that out and to just give that more shape. But as you can see, it sits nice. The fabric works well, I think, with this kind of pattern. You can use it largely ponte knit. So it gives that lovely shape and nipped in at the waist, but it kind of skims. I have had my tea, I have a dinner, so sometimes I can be a bit conscious of my tummy area in like a shift dress or something, but this, I think this hangs quite nicely. It's a good pattern, and if you wanted to use those techniques for other patterns, it's really easy to do. I'm Hales, thank you for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again in my next video.